I've been vlogging for years. I started off using point and shoot cameras until I had a taste of full frame goodness. Ever since then, I've been searching for the perfect vlog lens. I think I found the one. So first and foremost, what makes a good vlogging lens? In my opinion, I have to rule out prime. Simply because you want that versatility of the focal ranges. That's not to say when I travel I don't bring primes. I just have a zoom lens on around 80% of the time of my vlogs. The next criteria for me when I'm vlogging is it has to be lightweight and compact. You don't want something too heavy, especially if you're vlogging, running, gunning, point and shooting the whole day. And of course, with a vlogging lens, the emphasis is on video performance, but having the ability to take good photos is always a plus. And so which lens do I recommend? The 20-70 f4. Yep, I'd pick this over the much praised and ubiquitous 24-105. Although the 20-70 doesn't zoom as far, it reaches wider. And I think wide shots are perfect for two things. One is to establish the scene, which I don't do enough of, and two is for talking head shots. But let's take a deep dive into the focal length differences. So what you're seeing at the moment is my camera set up on a tripod at a basketball court, and this is at 20mm. And for comparison, this is 24mm. If we look at it side by side, you can see the 20 includes so much more not only horizontally but vertically. It's great for establishing shots. Here are some examples I've taken. And mind you, I'm not saying that 24 is unable to take establishing shots. I just think it's a lot easier to do so on the 20, and you always have the capability to crop in if needed. Now let's take a look at the longer side of the lens. This is at 70mm. And this is at 105mm. There is definitely a big difference between 70 and 105. However, we can apply a 1.5 crop onto the 70 and quality has obviously dropped. It's not as sharp, but I still think it's passable. I guess what you could say is girth is more important than length. Sexy. Alrighty, let's look at the talking head shots. Now I'm walking with the 20-70 f4 with steady shot turned off, and you can see it's a bit shaky, but look at how, oh Jesus, it's not even shaky in the video, it's shaky on the ground as well. But look and see how wide this view is around me. Woo! And now I'm walking with active steady shot turned on. Now it's at 22mm instead, and it still has pretty good width around from left to right, and you can definitely fit more than one person in frame. Now I'm doing the same vlogging test with the 24-105 f4. It does have OSS on the lens, so that's good, but I've also... it's that same bloody lump in the ground. And honestly, 24 is not bad. You could probably fit someone else here, but when I'm doing talking head, I've always got active steady shot turned on just by default. Now I've got active steady shot turned on, and there is no, like, you could fit someone's head here, but they've got to be really close to you, which isn't ideal when you're traveling out with friends. And my golly, this bloody lens weighs 175 grams more than the 20-70, and my hands, quite frankly, are tired from holding this camera. I took the 20-70 for granted. When we compare all four framing options, I think 24 is just a tad bit close for my liking. Mind you, I've also got very long arms, so if you were to do this, it may be even closer. My preference is the 20mm with IBIS. So now that we're here, let's take a look at the video performance of the 20-70. The first thing we're looking at, autofocus.
My knees hurt!
Oh, my pom-pom. At this point, I'm not too sure what I was testing anymore, but there are no complaints about autofocus. And I know what you guys might be thinking. F4, what about that? There are two main points of concern. One is the bokeh and the other is the low light performance. When it comes to bokeh, I personally think F4 is fine. Like, depth of field behind me, check. And just for the sake of it, this is f1.8, so you can see the bokehness, and these elements, they're quite far away from me, so they look really nice, but I think if you're vlogging in an urban environment, what you may find is that the bokeh is overkill and it gets to the point where you actually lose the context of what's behind you. I have a video which details the best aperture for vlogging and it definitely isn't 1.8. Back to the f4. And in regards to low light, I haven't been in an actual situation where it's actually low light. I've been in the city and urban areas where it's at nighttime, but the city itself is pretty well lit, so I haven't had any problems from that regard. As well as I've been to one of those dimly lit French restaurants. Here are some videos and photos I've got of that. So I can't really complain. However, for indoor exhibits, I typically change to a lower aperture lens. But for the sake of it, let's test it out.
This is a low light test using the 20mm f1.8, and this is the equivalent low light test on the 20-70 f4.
That is very dark. And last but not least, here are some photo samples I've got. Absolutely no complaints for the bokeh, and you can see that it's tack sharp. Check out these raindrops. Mind you, I'm not a photographer, but I don't think this lens produces any chromatic aberration. So to summarize the video, I reckon that the 20-70 f4 is the best Sony full frame lens for vlogging. I think that additional width you get at the start of the focal length really adds a lot of value, and if you need that extra zoom like the 105, you can always crop in. I haven't had any issues with low light or bokeh, and I think the video performance is bang on.